Mike, welcome.
Appreciate you, man.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Investor, business owner, reside here in Baltimore. Been in the real estate space for about 4 years now or so, and we've actually kind of got in a little bit of a niche as a newer budding industry in the creative auto space. So, owner of sellerfinance.io, co-owned with my partner Vitaly, and we have a marketplace that's centered around creative finance. You can do this on vehicles, boats, RVs, small planes, the whole nine, let alone, real estate, commercial and residential.
What's the most expensive thing you've seen seller finance in terms of a vehicle?
Um, a plane,
How
but
much is a plane?
well, the one that we're working on now is like 1.5.
Is it like one of those prop planes, or is it like a private jet?
Nah, it's like a private jet. It's a Cessna.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So you said you're doing real estate, and then what were you doing in real estate?
Primarily wholesaling. That's originally what I was doing. Now I'm getting into buy and holds. The primary strategy for me is co-living. I know the kind of spaces for a lot of people now. It's writing on the wall. But usually just doing wholesaling. Initially, that's how I got my first deals going and just kind of getting to know the game, doing cash deals, and then eventually learning creative. Ultimately ended up joining sub too and just kind of roll from there.
Okay. Um, so for co-living, are you doing that in Baltimore?
Yeah. That's primarily the goal. I was just walked a few properties last week and got a couple more that I got to get before this week is out.
Okay, so very cool. So you're still doing real estate, but
Mhm.
then you've also have this other business in creative finance for cars, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
vehicles.
Yep.
How'd you
Very.
get into that?
Crazy, man. I mean, it was probably a like really organic start. I just needed a car at the time, and
Hmm.
cash rich credit poor didn't want to go the traditional route since Pace always talks about you can sell up to anything. And
Hmm.
he always talked about it with vehicles. He always talked about the F-150 story to make it simple for us to understand creative and real estate, right? But
Yeah.
nobody usually ever went back to the cars and like, how do you, you know what I'm saying, do it with the cars?
Right.
And I think it was one time he ended up dropping some documents inside of Sub 2. He gives us a ton of value, always looking out and always, provide for the community. But he never really explained the docs for the cars. He usually explains everything else.
Yeah.
Because at that time, I was just like, screw it. I'm going to look at the documents and kind of reverse engineer it. Sean Sinclair had the first couple of drafts that made sense for taking overpayments on vehicles and protecting sellers, buyers, that kind of thing. And I just wanted to see proof of concept. So called around DMVs, insurance companies all across the country just to figure out how, it could actually work. And came with a process and ultimately tried it out. Failed first couple times trying to find the deals because I was looking in the wrong places. So I still ended up getting a regular car from a dealership. But a
Mhm.
couple days later, was at a meetup down in Orange County and talking with another sub two student over there. They just gave me the spark of an idea, like, why don't you try the Turo groups? And it had me thinking a little bit differently. It was like a light that just went off. Like it was so crazy, I didn't think of that. But immediately that night, went home, went into a bunch of different Turo groups on Facebook, and just made one post, and it just went viral. And it was like, this is crazy because so many people were willing to offer
Mhm.
their cars. Like, here, take my payments. I don't care. I'll keep it in my name. They just wanted to get rid of it because they had no other way of selling it. Too far in the
Right.
water, or the market was shifting so fast that people were losing out. So um, this came from exotics to, regular cars, everything in between. So it was like,
Mhm.
it's a way bigger problem to me. Realized that, after closing a couple of those deals, went to find buyers and, there was plenty of buyers available for it. And now it just comes back down to wholesaling. So it was just like, all right, cool. Come up with a process on one side, deal with the other side, solve the problem in the middle and do logistics for TC. And then that's how over time started to really, really dig into the process, learning it, uh, learning all of the mistakes, learning everything that you shouldn't do, what I'm saying, let alone everything that you should do and how to make it right, how to make them situations good. And then over time, people started learning about it and knowing that I was the one doing it and just kept reaching out. So then we just kept on buttoning and buttoning and continue to build a business on it.
Yeah, so it sounds like it moved pretty quickly.
Yeah. Faster than I expected. There was something on the side, to be honest. I was just wholesaling, but then the demand just kept going, and I realized the demand, like one was like we try to add as much value as possible, so we try to keep in people's mind just by giving them things that they know they can need, and that way it
Mhm.
ultimately come back to you eventually. So I think that was one aspect of it, but the other aspect was just the market, bro. Like it just demanded for it. You know what I'm saying? Like way too many people had the problem, and people were looking for the solution, so we had the
Right.
solution. You know what I'm saying? And the demand came to where it was like you have to create a systemized business on it. Can't do it one by one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's something that I'm learning is how to mature as a business owner, creating
Yeah.
the systems and the processes and everything.
Right.
So then while you're doing the wholesaling in real estate, this other arm of your business is growing pretty quickly. So then how do you handle that? What kind of team do you start bringing in other people to help, or does your time get split? Like what happens there?
Yeah, yeah. Immediately you just realize like you can't do everything on your own, so you gotta reach out for help. The beauty is
Mm,
that we have a community that's super supportive, always looking to help people grow and things like that. So I just reached out and eventually found my first TC, Julie Daniels. She's amazing. She's been amazing
yeah.
with us for some time now.
Mm,
Taught her the process and she's been helping. And then we were able to hire another TC, Amy Horn. She's also been amazing. So now we have a few TCs that are on our team, and all top tier TCs, which we certify. So we, cross pollinate there. And then when it came to like system side, I've gotten a partner who we've helped develop a marketplace now for this, which is sellerfinance.io. We got a whole development team. We've got more folks that just coming in and just like, all right, cool. We need to, you know what I'm saying, build this out. So hell no, I ain't doing this on my own, bro.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then what does your acquisitions look like then for something like this?
I mean, for now, it's actually been mostly word of mouth and referrals. Like that's primarily how we've been getting a lot of business. So crazy enough, word of mouth and referrals doing good business is not
Yeah.
dead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just to keep that clear. But then also, we have the community that we started. We grew it. We taught a lot of people how the process works, teach people how to
Yeah.
find deals and things like that. So we'll naturally just get deals in that way too. And we've before we get to the space where like now that we realize it's a huge problem, if we start running ads, it's gonna go crazy. So our main thing is getting all of our systems like super, super crispy, super elite to the point where it feels just like any regular, like a Zillow or
Mm,
Auto Trader. You know what I'm saying? Like you can
yeah.
go ahead and start the process, get everything done right there, and it's all good to go as if you were to walk into a dealership. That's primarily what we're focused on. And from that standpoint, acquisitions is going to be more outbound, but most of our stuff is inbound and we have a regular flow.
Yeah. I mean, I like what you're doing where you're setting yourself up to scale, but as painlessly as possible by
Yeah.
making sure you have everything in place.
Yeah, and it's not gonna be perfect. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
we don't
Hmm.
like hold back and just say, oh, nah, we don't ever want to do that because you still have to meet the demand, or else
Yeah.
other people are gonna come in and they see what you're doing and then try to replicate, right? So
Yeah.
you always want to be the forefront and pioneers, but you want to do it smartly. And I've seen enough, people rise too fast and then get
Hmm.
like Icarus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you flying too close to the sun, your wings too small. So
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely have been made aware of a lot of that.
yeah.
Um, okay. So then I got a couple questions here. So one is based on my situation. So I have a car that I bought where it's a Tesla, and I think I bought pretty much at the peak. And now I've gotten kind of tired of it. It's in great
Mhm.
condition, low miles. And it's paid off. There's no debt on it. So what is the best way to go about selling this thing?
I mean, so you obviously know you got your main two ways, right? Just wait
Mm,
for somebody to get a bank loan and pay you in cash, or you can take a straight cash offer for less, right? Uh,
yeah.
those are the two traditional ways. If you want to finance it and make more money on it, you become the bank. That's your third way.
Mm,
If you ain't got a loan, seller financing is actually very, very easy. I think people overcomplicate it because
mm,
they think about payments and they're more worried about getting screwed. You just have to
right.
understand that the bank that you bought the car from was worried about the same thing.
Right.
All they did was come up with a process to make sure that they don't get screwed. And if
Right.
they do, they have, ways to, to handle that, right? So
Yeah.
when people get to thinking like how this process actually works, all you gotta do is just think like a bank, bro. If you want to sell it, and let's say, I don't know, what model do you have?
The Model Y.
What year?
I got it at the end of 22, so I don't know if it's a 22 or 23.
If it's 22, 20, all right, so let's say it's around 35,000, right?
Hmm.
For
Yeah.
example, let's put it somewhere. It's probably gonna be between 25 and 35, somewhere around there, right?
Hmm.
Let's say it's a performance or long range or whatever the case. Cool. So you decide to sell it. Let's say the actual cash value is 30. Simple math.
Hmm.
You want
Yeah.
to say, nah, screw it, I want to sell it for 35 or 40, whatever you want to sell it for, right? You
Hmm.
can go ahead and do that, and you want to come up with terms that somebody can actually get into. You can consider a down payment. You can consider no down payment for a higher purchase price. You can consider interest, a lot of interest baked into the purchase price, however you want to do it. But come up with your terms that make sense and then offer it, find you a buyer. The biggest part of this is finding the right kind of buyer. At the end of the day, it don't matter if you have everything set on the back end. If you find the wrong buyer, you're gonna have a problem. So I tell people to treat these kinds of deals as if they have properties and they're renting. You vet
Hmm.
a tenant, you get a good tenant, they're gonna pay you for life and they're gonna pay down your mortgage, right? But you get a
Yeah.
bad tenant, They're going to ruin it. It's going to become costly. Now you're going to lose money in the deal. Same situation with a vehicle. People do take care of cars and people are non-problematic drivers and all that kind of stuff. There's plenty of people out there. You just got to find them. So you do find the right person, then get your deal set, get the right paperwork, get the right process, go down to the DMV, have them record a lien against the title, make sure you're insured so that in case shit happens, you become the lost payee or the one that gets paid out first, and then go about your business. The Tesla, you can already track it, so you know where it's at.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they default, just take it back. You know what I'm saying? Like just repossess. And if you can't get the car back, sue them, bro. Like it's the same thing that a bank would do to you. So
Yeah.
you gotta think like that.
So it's exactly just like real estate. It's just a different type, it's just a different widget.
Hmm.
Okay.
It's the same
Um,
thing, just different with a different process.
yeah. So then, I mean, in your group, I see some people getting out of selling some cars with outrageous monthly payments.
Yeah.
How are they making money on these? So how is a buyer making money off of something like that?
So two things to consider. One, every buyer is not trying to make money. There's plenty of people that actually want to keep it. So similar to a wrap, right? If you got a
Hmm.
non-cash flowing house, you got investors that want to buy creative deals, but then you got regular homeowners that just want it. And they'll
Yeah.
pay the premium, right? So that's number one to keep in mind. Then number two, there's a difference because one appreciates in real estate and one other depreciates with vehicles. So the value in it sometimes ain't really worth that monthly. Whereas a seller may have to come in and consider a different creative approach, right? To
Hmm.
uh, either take down the monthly payment or pay into the loan up front so it's cheaper. You know what I'm saying? Some of these
Yeah.
deals, some people do come in and they've got exorbitant interest rates and they're way underwater. There's really nothing you're going to be able to do with that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There are
Hmm.
still some deals that actually don't make sense. So in the group right now, since it's in this, infancy stage, there are a lot of people that are still learning the process, so I do give them grace to just kind of understand, let the market dictate. Like, hey, look, I know you want $1 billion for this, $2,000 car, but it's not really going to work. You know what I'm saying? So for some
Yeah.
people, they just kind of have to learn the hard way. For others, we try our best to, teach everybody, like, hey, look, check it out. I know what you want, but it's not going to work. You're not going to make any money on this. As a matter of fact, you may have to bring some money to the table to make it work. Because at the end of the day, people are not selling the cars; they're selling the loans. So that's what you're talking about. You're like the rates,
Yeah.
the joint, like you're selling a loan, and if it's a bad loan, nobody's buying that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I see some cars with like super high mileage, but they still have like $1,000 payments. Like, I don't know who's doing what people are doing with these cars if they're buying them.
Yeah. I mean, some people like so for the people that want to make money on it, right?
Hmm.
Everything's still gonna come down to cash flow, cash on cash, like all that stuff's still the same. It's just
Yeah.
smaller margins. So with a car, there's different exit strategies you can use if you want to make money on it. You can go the Turo route, you can go the private rental route, you can go the Uber, DoorDash, Lyft, rental route, right? Like you
Hmm.
can go rent by the week, rent by the month, like however you want to do it. There's plenty of ways that you can go about making money on it. Some are more lucrative than others. Some take more management and are riskier than others. But and then I mean, because you still got like pickup trucks and regular trucks, commercial vehicles and things like that, where people use them selling to contractors or folks that don't have any credit, and they're just they just got here in the country and
Hmm.
they're looking to establish. They got cash rich, but their credit non-existent. So they'll pay more. They'll pay a premium because they're getting jobs that are making way more than what the payment is. Even if it's $1,000, $1,500 payment, they're probably making what, $20,000 a month, but that one, vehicle allows them to do that. So they don't care. Like everybody's situation is different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So if you are renting, let's just say you're renting it out.
Mhm.
We had mentioned that Turo's is one way to rent it out. What are
Yeah.
some alternatives to Turo?
So you got Turo right now. Actually, a lot of Turo's competition. If you're talking about a platform for car sharing, that's
Hmm.
about to be non-existent. Turo's going to become the monopoly because a lot of the actual competitors just can't sustain. Um,
Hmm.
but as Turo has an exit strategy, you can do private rentals yourself. You can rent them out, have folks get insurance, and do those kinds of things. You can also, like I said, you can do the Uber Lyft model, whereas you're
Hmm.
renting vehicles out to drivers that otherwise wouldn't be able to normally qualify. You just rent by the week or by the month or whatever the case.
Oh.
And those they charge a lot of money. To be honest, there's a lot of money in that. So, just give you an example to spark some interest for anybody that's watching. If you've got a 2012 or a 2015 vehicle or somebody, say it's a basic sedan, call it a Honda Accord, and it's worth 8,000, 9,000, whatever the case. Say you own it free and clear. You want to make some serious cash on it instead of selling it for 9,000, waiting for somebody to get a loan, which they won't do, or selling it for 7,000 or 6,000 because somebody wanted to send you a cash offer. rent it out to people who are looking for to rent to own it. And you can rent it by the week. You can charge them $300 a week or $400 a week or $500 a week or something like that. And that's exorbitant, but you can, you know what I'm saying, kind of see the premise. They'll
Yeah.
pay and then you give them a rent to own, whereas you sell the vehicle, let's call it, is worth 9,000, you sell it for 13, but you give them like 40 weeks to pay it off. So you divide that up in that amount of time, and that's how much you charge them every week, or 60 weeks, or whatever makes the most sense for that weekly check. They go out, they're door dashing, and mind you, door dashers, they make a lot of money. I ain't gonna hold you. Um,
Mhm.
Especially if they're active, but like people that's doing door dashing or Uber Eats or anything like that, they have to pay the car and they pay the rest. And they can continue to rent it, but let's say they decide to stop. You can take the car back and then redo the same thing. So now if you keep repeating that same model, and this is a real model, by the way, like this is, I'm not even joking. Like I'm looking
Mhm.
into getting into it. But if you take the vehicle back and then re-rent it out again because somebody they don't want to go to the own model, they just kept renting it. Cool.
Yeah.
Re-rent it out, clean it up, re-rent it out. You can do the same thing again. That $9,000 that you would have um tried to sell it for and waited for, you can turn that 9,000 into $18,000 if you just wait a little while. And you keep on renting out and you rent it out, you clean up, you rent it out, and it's worth it. Because the maintenance and stuff like that, it washes out. So you can really profit off of a vehicle. Oh, sorry, because the screen always pauses, but you can really like make a lot of profit on it. You know what I'm saying? Like selling it through financing that way.
That is crazy. Like, I did not even think that you could do rent to own with the car too.
Yeah.
Because whenever I like cars, or I used to be like really into cars, and but I like a lot of them, and so
Mhm.
I always thought the best way to do it was to run a churro business. But then with that, you always have to clean the cars. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things and maintenance that you have to do. It's like running a short-term rental. I
Facts.
didn't even think about rent to own. Like, where do you find people like this?
They're everywhere, bro. Everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
you make something as simple as a Craigslist post, or you can do a Facebook Marketplace. But I mean, like even if you go like think groups, right? So
Hmm.
in the beginning, when I was talking about the Turo groups, like people
Yeah.
hang out because they want to learn or they want opportunities. There are so
Yeah.
many communities out here that need things, and they're all congregating, talking about problems, about issues, about whatever things to get ahead, things that happen to them. They got scammed, whatever the hell happened, right? But it's
Yeah.
little places that you can come into and offer value. So if say you have a vehicle that is valuable to somebody who wants to make some money on it because they don't want to go get a bank loan, or
Yeah.
they don't want to spend a whole lot of money up front. They don't want to put a down payment or whatever the case is, right?
Yeah.
Go in there, talk to them, get to know the people, post what offers you have of value, and then you find plenty of people. So let's say you go into an Uber Lyft group or door dashing service, like whatever. I don't know what they call them as an industry, but like those kind of groups and stuff like that, they exist.
Yeah.
Jump on in there and be like, hey, look, you need vehicles. Like I'm a personal seller. Like I'll rent you my joint every week.
Yeah.
About how many people would you be like, yeah, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it.
That is crazy. Like, just it seems so easy, but just never thought about it because it's never been exposed to it.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah. So then, I guess when you're doing your screening, like in addition to getting to know someone, like how do you, when you're selling a vehicle, right,
Mhm,
seller finance,
mhm.
what kind of screening do you do?
I mean, it's more common sense grading than anything. It's just like ours, man. So I mean, you're still gonna go through like uh payment history, um, financials, proof of funds, validity to drive, you know what I'm saying? Like depending on the situation, like I always try to get to meet everybody face to face. So at least a Zoom call, if we can't do anything in person, but Zoom calls for sure. And then there's always going to be a decision to be made. Like, all right, cool, we want to go deeper. We need references. Do we need
Mhm.
background checks? Do we need, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? But um, you want to really get to know the person that you're dealing with so
Mhm.
that you can have a valid situation. And then as long as you can make an informed decision on this person, give it a shot and then keep it moving.
Mhm. Okay, because yeah, one of the things that I look for at attendance, I look at existing living conditions. I always look for pictures, and I guess that's something that you could ask for as a bank, right?
I mean, you technically ask for whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like whether somebody's willing to give that, that's a different thing. But you can ask,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, whatever. But I would say too is like um when you get on the line with somebody, you're gonna ask like real questions. You know what I mean? Like, why are you going this route? Why can't you go get along?
Yeah.
What's the issue? What's going on in your world? What do? You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
what's stopping you from just going and just coming up with the cash. Like, so you can, it's kind of like finding the bunnies in any situation with a seller. Why are they selling? Like, why are you, you know what I'm saying? Like doing this, is there something else going on? Are you about to go through bankruptcy? Do we need to know that? Are you about to,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever
Hmm.
the case is, you can really have an opportunity to get to know somebody because if you're gonna sell a finance, you're gonna be in a relationship with somebody. So
Yeah.
ultimately, y'all sign that paper, y'all just got married. So you want you find somebody that you're willing to say I do to. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's kind of like the way we run the platform, there is a matchmaking aspect to it to a degree, right? It's kind of like
Hmm.
playing hitch a little bit because um, when you're dealing with somebody, you're not. It's like dating, bro. Like you ain't finna ask the most
Hmm.
invasive questions up front, but at the same time, like you kind of do. So there's a way that you do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a way that you go about finding out the information. You don't just go hop straight to the joint. You know what I'm saying? Like if you take
Yeah.
a girl out and you like, oh yeah, we about to do this tonight. Like it's not every time it really makes sense to do something. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you got to think like, what are you really asking of somebody? And
Hmm.
if there's stuff that you need to know that you're comfortable with, cool. But if I will encourage anybody, if you are somebody that is not um like risk savvy, somebody that like is very like low tolerance, this is not for you. Because this
Right.
is gonna be the same thing as like people who rent out cars on Turo and they'll go get a personal vehicle, personal loan, put it on Turo, still treat it like it's their personal vehicle. It's not. It's a business.
Right. Hmm.
So you're there to make money on it. You have to detach all of your emotion from it. If you get into it thinking that you have to helicopter or you got to ask something like, you're gonna drive yourself insane.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I is kind of held me back from it doing it because I got so many other things going on that this
Mhm.
seems like a lot of work for me because it's just not what I want to do and not my model.
Yeah.
Um, so I appreciate you breaking that down.
Mhm.
Just out of curiosity, before real estate and all this, what were you doing?
So first I'm in music, right? So that's
Hmm.
my first thing. I've been in the industry for a little bit. On the side, I was always in sales. So always had something going on sales wise. The last sales gig that had W2 I was in 2019. And it was for a finance company out in Beverly Hills. That was the last time that I let any like company play with me as far as like telling me how much I could make
Hmm.
for lack of better words, long story short. But yeah, just sales was always a natural gift. It was something that was always good at. That was the quote unquote backup plan, if you will, to music.
Yeah.
But yeah, music is my first love, bro. Play a lot of instruments, made music for a lot of people, and just have fun doing
Okay, so now I can understand like the creativity that comes
it. Yeah,
with and the sales background definitely helps a lot too.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, what's the biggest mindset issue you've had to get over to kind of go off on your own?
Um, Biggest, I would probably say fear of success. And
Mhm.
I ain't gonna hold you. Like fear of failure is one thing for most people that people can relate to. A lot of times it's just like you don't believe in yourself that you can. But like what happens if you know that you can, but you're scared of what could come with it. So you don't go for it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And then you have that like fear of what anybody around you would think, or like, so you worried about what other people would think, you worried about, say what can go wrong, like what happens if, you lose yourself in the process, like all those kinds of things that I think for me, just mindset, you know what I'm saying? Just like believing like you can, like just go. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
screw it, doesn't matter what happens. You know what's in you, you know what your conscience telling you, like just roll. You know what I'm saying? And like
Yeah.
don't worry about anything else. Do what you're supposed to do. Give everything that you've been given back times 10. That's the whole point of you being here. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think for me, that's definitely been a mindset shift that I had to adopt, along with the habits of employee versus employer mindset, right? Like holding yourself accountable versus somebody
Mhm.
else holding you accountable, making sure that you show up when you don't want to versus like somebody telling you it's easier to show up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like those kinds of things that, your habits and improving on your habits consistently, daily, not looking for huge gains. We're looking for small, 1% better, brick by brick, that kind of thing, and just staying at it no matter what. Like those all build into just accepting, like, yo, you can. And if you follow these rules, there's a um success is subjective for people, but what I mean is like the end goal of where you want to go, you can get from anybody. Anybody can get whatever it is they're looking at. If they
Mhm.
continue on that doggone path, it may take some a little bit longer than others, which is fine. But the journey is where the real love is at anyway. So the mindset of just being able to stick to it no matter what, Like that's you know what I'm saying? Like to get to the goal of where you want to go and then just saying screw it, whatever happens when you get there is there.
Yeah, man. It's something that you mentioned in there was, and it's something that I suffered from a lot where I
Mm.
was so fixated on the goal and I lost the love for the journey. And
Yeah,
so that made it really hard to keep going.
yeah,
But yeah, definitely appreciating the journey is super important.
for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Do you read a lot of books?
Yeah, yeah.
What's your favorite book or a book that's had the most impact on you in throughout
Mindset.
this journey? Mindset,
Carol
Carol
West.
Dweck.
Yes, sir. You know it. Yeah, mindset,
Yeah.
bro. That was the one that shifted it for me. I mean, everybody's got their books, and I think I wouldn't necessarily say so much the book, but the timing when I read it, because it was I read it during the pandemic. Um, it was also right after I had left the gig. And
Hmm.
I was just thinking about everything wrong. Y'all just like, it's crazy. This is why I got the outcomes that I got. This is why I keep having issues. I got a fixed mindset, bro. That's the issue, right? But once you
Yeah.
get to that, you know what I mean? Like the way she break it down, and you read it already, I already know.
Hmm.
Once she break it down and she talks about like the folks that always succeeded and like the Jordans or the Kobe's or the Steve Jobs or whomever, you know what I'm saying? Like people that we look up to, is like, no, all they did was just believe that they can keep growing. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
wasn't like, oh,
Hmm.
I can or you know what I'm saying? Like it was like,
Hmm.
bro, no, I can. I just have to keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like keep improving, keep improving. And
Yeah.
it was always just a mindset from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And like having to adopt the growth mindset and destroying the fixed mindset is like destroying the old you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Destroying
Hmm.
the ceilings that you put on yourself, or other people around you put on, or you've allowed other people to put on you. You know what I mean? Or whatever the case is like, bro, just go, keep growing. Gonna take some time, but every day, just keep improving. You know what I'm saying? Like get
Yeah.
your habits right. All right, cool. You didn't do everything perfect that day. No worries. If you allowed an opportunity to wake up tomorrow, you better take every advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? Just keep on going, you know? So I think that book for sure, for sure. And I read that joint 3 times. That joint for sure helped me out, bro.
Yeah, I love that book because I was same thing. I just didn't realize what kind of fixed mindset I had until going through that. It's like, oh, this is how we're supposed to be. That and Outliers. Have you read Outliers?
Nah, I haven't.
So Outliers is kind of similar, but they give like real life examples of, okay, well, these like Bill Gates is an example. Yes, he has, he built Microsoft, but because he spent 10,000 hours practicing and coding, and it's
Yeah.
not just something that where he's gifted or he might have a talent, but it doesn't
He
matter because
worked
he
on it.
exactly he worked on
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Nah, that's facts, bro. And it's like the one thing I had to get humbled by this because like talent is one thing, but work is more important.
Hmm.
Now if you pair talent at work, you know what I'm saying, and you can turn it to Beyonce or something like that. But but like when you really think it's like hard work beat talent when talent don't work hard. Right.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that just lets you know which one's more important off break. Because consistency, discipline, focus, and execution is the most important principles for anybody to have in any stage of their life. If you can instill those things young, that'll be the best situation. But say you don't have it young and you have to learn that shit later, cool, do
Yeah.
whatever it takes to learn it. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I think the shift between the growth and the fixed mindset is the same thing that it comes down to like the power of habit. I don't know if you ever read that.
I have to.
Yeah, it's dope, but like it break down like cues, routines, rewards, like how habits are formed, how they made, things like that. But
Mhm.
it's more of understanding of how you actually shift into a habit change, where it's like the pain is staying the same has to be greater than the pain that it takes to make a change.
I've seen that. Yeah.
So where you at, like if you fix mindset and you realize it now, it's like, yo, I don't want to be here no more. Like the pain, you still gonna be in pain staying there. And it's also gonna
Hmm.
be painful to make that change into
Yeah.
a growth mindset. But is what's really going to drive you is the pain to stand just in space. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, cool,
Yeah.
good. Whatever I got to do to, you know what I'm saying, grow. If I didn't get the discipline right, the consistency right, all that stuff, like, cool. You're going to stay real painful if you don't have it. You know what I'm saying? You're not executing at a high level, but you might as well go ahead and learn how to so that you can, you know what I mean, continue to grow.
Yeah, I love that because this is a painful process and there's a
Yeah,
lot of stress that comes with it. But both are hard. Which hard do you want?
facts.
Yeah.
Choose your heart.
Yeah,
Choose your heart.
exactly. Mike, we're running out of time, but really appreciate you coming on.
For
So you
sure.
mentioned your website. Can you bring that up, and how else can people reach out to you and work with you?
Yeah, man. Sellerfinance.io. That is the premier marketplace for creative finance, everything. So all asset classes, we right now have it live for all things vehicles. That's cars, trucks, boats, RVs. We'll have small planes listed on there in a little bit as well. Real estate coming soon as well as businesses. But you can go there
Very
right
cool.
now if you're looking for a vehicle. You don't want to go to a bank to deal with that process. You can buy directly from a seller. They're willing to either let you take over the rest of the payments or seller finance it there. Same thing as a seller. If you're looking to make more money on your vehicle, you don't want to go through the process of waiting around a long time for somebody to lowball you and BS you. You can go to sellerfinance.io, list your vehicles, or you can go there and buy. You can reach out to me directly. I run my company, Top Wheels. We have the official sub-two car community, the Top Method. That is on facebook.com/groups/top method. And you can reach me direct DMs on Facebook or Instagram at Mike Will Close It. Reach out to me. More than happy to help you out.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, and yeah, it's great meeting you.
Appreciate you, John. Me, you too, man. It's been a pleasure.